My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubois. And have you ever wondered how a real estate investor in Eastern Pennsylvania managed to hit a home run on their very first deal? Today, my guest today, Jason Yanes from Stallion Acquisitions, not only achieved that, but also conquered various real estate strategies with just 9 deals under his belt. Jason, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're in the hotbed Pennsylvania. I love that area of the country. There's lots of deals west of where you are, and probably I've heard where you are as well. So, a lot of people, when you meet someone in real estate, they're like, "Oh, how'd you get started?" So let's start it off there. What got you inspired to start in this real estate journey?
Yeah, so I think I started my journey about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was, just graduated college. I was a mechanical engineer, and I like hated my job. So I had a lot of kind of like, downtime during the actual like work day. So I remember just kind of Googling different things like, how do I make money? And then real estate came up. And so I just kind of delved into that, and then just started learning more and more about that stuff, and just, started taking courses and whatnot until I eventually kind of took the leap on my first deal. Yeah.
So tell me about the first deal.
Yeah, so the first deal, so I kind of actually had 2 kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was doing a little bit of wholesaling. So I did just kind of sending those postcards out to, a bunch of homes that were, tax liens, vacant, any of those lists. I think I got it for PropStream. So sent out those postcards, ended up getting actually, a couple solid leads, and I ended up getting 3 deals on my first like batch of postcards. And so that first one, it was very interesting. So this lady had called and said that, she hadn't paid her property taxes or her school taxes in 2 years or so. And so they were like, yeah, they're gonna auction out my house on the tax on Wednesday. And she called me on Monday. So I was like, oh, sure, I'll be down there in an hour. So went down there, house is in really good shape. And so she had owed about $16,000 in taxes. And so they were going to auction her house for, starting at like 20,000, something like that. As is, the house probably could have sold for, anywhere to 150 to 200,000, had she, listed it beforehand. So I kind of, negotiate with her a little bit. So I basically told her, I'll take care of all the taxes and everything, and just make sure that you leave with $40,000 clean in your pocket, and I'll give you an extra, 30 days to kind of figure out your next move. And so she was like, yes, where do I sign? So then I was like, great, got the, first deal under contract. So I had to go down to the tax office of the town to put a little deposit down to just, stop the tax sale, about 1,800. And then, there was 2 lines, and the guy next to me was just like, oh, are you saving today? I'm like, sort of, I'm just, buying this house. I'm trying to do some real estate investing here. And he's like, oh, are you wholesaling it? And I was like, yeah, I'm open to doing that. He's like, because I'm an investor, and I would, I'm looking for another deal. So we just talked about it, and then we just went right back, and he took a look, and he's like, I'll give you, I think he gave me 70,000 was the offer. So just like that, I made a quick, clean $15,000 wholesale fee. And then, after he took it, he fixed it up a bit. And I think he made over 6 figures on that flip. So it was a kind of a win-win-win situation. Yeah.
Well, it's I always say opportunity is a lot like luck. You got to get out of the house to get it. So he's standing around in line there. That's crazy. But that sort of stuff happens. You're in the right place at the right time. And certainly in bed at home is not the right place at the right time. So you got to do something. So what about this other deal?
Yeah, so then this other deal, um, it was um I was gonna do a fix and flip, because I wanted to kind of just, get my hands in, get my hands dirty a
And
little
see
bit.
how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, see how it is, because wholesaling is good and all, but it's definitely takes a lot of grit. So I just wanted to kind of just try different things. So that first deal, I had purchased it um I think we closed in February or January of 2020.
Hmm.
So, we did a little bit of demo, and then boom, COVID hits. And so this property was in Philadelphia. And so at the time, the city of Philadelphia said no one is allowed to do any work for a couple months. So basically, I was holding on this property for 3, 4, 5 months, just sitting
Hmm.
there, wasn't allowed to do any work. I had taken out a hard money loan, so I was just, paying interest, and it was my first, actual like project. So I was just basically losing sleep. Um, and so once, things were kind of ramping back up, my contractor kind of screwed me over. He was like, "Oh, I'm kind of backed up." So he was just coming whenever, like, and so just, and I kind of, let it go on for a little bit too long. And before I was like, okay, before I fired him and brought on a whole new guy. And then when I brought on the new contractor, he kind of looked around. He's like, "Yeah, most of the work he did wasn't like that great. Like
Done correctly. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to redo a lot of this stuff." So then, pretty much like doubled my budget, pretty much blew the budget. And as well as the timeline, this project was, hopefully going to be 6 months, but took pretty
A
much almost a
year.
year.
Yeah.
And then by the time, it was ready to sell, the comps had come down. So if I had sold it, I would have took a loss. So I decided to just, refinance, take advantage of those low interest rates, and just rent it out. So, and I still have that property to this day, and it's been cash flowing ever since. So,
Nice.
kind of turned
Five
into a little bit of blessing there.
5 year fixed, or did you go in with the open variable rate?
I went with a fixed. I got a 4%. It wasn't, I think I
It's
got
not
it just,
not the greatest thing, but it's better than a variable rate. Could have been worse.
yeah, yeah.
So um that brings us kind of up to today. I'm sure there's a few in between there as well, but are you focused mostly in your market? Or are you doing a few markets? What does that look like as far as your business?
Yeah, for the most part, just been primarily focused in Eastern Pennsylvania. So right now I'm living in Philadelphia, but I've done deals as high as Allentown for the folks who know Pennsylvania.
Mm,
Kind of just the whole Eastern region, and um, just because it's for me, I like being able to drive there and kind of
yeah,
see the property, and kind of do what I can.
boots on the ground kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does the future hold for your business?
Yeah, hopefully just some more deals and just kind of scaling this. That's kind of been, I guess, the biggest challenge. You know, I guess, raising enough money to do multiple deals at the same time, that's been a challenge, because been taking on bigger and bigger projects. Like my last
Mm,
project, it was probably, in total, about $500,000. So, use all that for this big project I did. So, had I done maybe three smaller deals, I probably could have spread out the capital, but I kind of just try to, take a bigger risk there. So just pretty much finding ways to, I guess, raise more money, or even just get more deals, because at least this market is getting pretty like saturated with wholesalers, and I haven't seen that many great deals in the works so far.
yeah, I mean, you could probably just buy a couple too, and pay the fee, but once you found them yourself, it's kind of hard to like swallow that pill and say, "Oh, I'm gonna pay 5 grand assignment when I can maybe find something myself." So,
Right.
um, with what you've been doing with real estate so far, what would you say your unfair advantage is? What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
I would say maybe networking. It actually wasn't, it was probably my, like, not my strongest, asset in the beginning. But kind of as time went on, and just, kind of put myself out there, been able to network with some really good individuals. So like, for example, that first wholesale deal I did with that guy who bought my deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've sold him, two other wholesale deals. I did another project with him, and currently we're trying to find another project right now, whether it's just a fix to flip or like development. So just kind of, meeting people that could really, help my business basically.
Nice, nice. So what are you doing these days to fund your projects?
Kind of a mix. So a mix of either, some hard money and some credit cards, or I have some business lines of credit that I've opened up. So I have a decent amount, but sometimes, it's not enough to cover everything. So just kind of a mix of all that so far.
Okay, so what's one of the, what's one of the strategies right now you're using to access money to find deals, like as far as like networking or um, hard money, things like that. When you look at the way you're funding deals, we always want to be like expanding that network. So what are some ways you're expanding that?
Yeah. So I guess one of the, easiest ways is, taking a trip down to your local REIA,
Mm-hmm.
talking to people there. So whenever I went to those, I haven't gone as much recently, but whenever I went to those, I was able to connect with some really great folks. So, connected me with a guy who was really good with um, getting lines of credits for your business. So that's kind of how I got, set up with that. As well as like, you know, being able to get certain credit cards and just he just really knew all that sort of thing. So just kind of getting out there and really, just talking to people really, you know.
Yeah. So on that note, once you've kind of talked to them a little bit, how do you keep in touch with your investor prospects so far?
Yeah. So for the I'd say most part is like Instagram, because most of us
Mhm.
have Instagram. So at
Yeah.
least for like our businesses. So just kind of, when we're posting, their latest thing, just commenting, just to keep in touch, because um I think today that's probably
Those
like
are like investors you're trying to wholesale to or raise capital from.
a little bit of both. And sometimes they're just other investors that, that maybe I don't have anything that I'm, trying to work with them quite yet, but maybe in the future, potential future partner,
Hmm. So when it comes to like doing deals, are you a find the deal and then the money, or do you prefer to have the capital kind of lined up and then go looking for deals?
For the most part, it's been find a deal first and then the money. It's a little
Yeah.
bit easier that way. Because most times if you're going to try to, find the money first, the only really like, if you're going to go to a hard money lender, they're not going to really give you much besides like, okay, what's the deal?
Yeah, they want to know the details.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess a lot of your capital is like your own or hard money lenders. Like you don't have a lot of like private lenders, like someone random like myself.
Yeah, no, I don't have any private lenders.
Okay, so um, is that something you're looking to expand on, or how does that play into the future of your business? As far as, are you planning to continue to use your money and buy the rest with hard money, or do you plan to start raising larger amounts from private individuals?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, looking to raise more money, whether that's the private, because I think I've kind of hit a wall in terms of as how much, lines of credit and like credit cards that I can get.
Hmm.
So, um, I think that would be kind of the next step to allow my business to continue to scale and grow.
So do you have any, like you had mentioned that you started with training and learning this stuff. Are you training and learning on the whole capital side of things, or is that just coming as it goes?
That's mostly just been like coming as it goes. I'd say, yeah.
Okay, so um, at this point with your business, you could probably just keep doing what you're doing, right?
Right.
So what does it look like? Do you have goals to expand it, or are you happy with where it is these days?
I would say like a goal, because most of my deals have been either like, BRRRs
Hmm.
or flips to flips, uh, or like Airbnb wholesaling. But I haven't gotten really into like any like development type projects. So I think that's kind of a goal for me to just get into
Start finding
that
some
avenue.
land or something that can be built on or tear
Yeah.
down or something
And
like
and
that.
even some multifamily, because I haven't any of those either. Just kind of bigger scale.
Bigger instead of like a number of. more deals, just bigger deals.
Right, right.
Yeah, there's lots of tons and tons of multifamily on the East Coast, apartment blocks and stuff. You got lots of density. I think there's like something like 10 or 20 million people in that area, like
Yeah,
not too far away. So,
yeah.
um, what do you think's holding you back from, really biting into these bigger projects?
For me at this point, I'd say is finding the deals. Because there's hundreds and hundreds of single family ones, but any,
Hmm.
multifamily development, most of the time, they're either like kind of overpriced on like the MLS or sometimes they're like on bids. Um,
Hmm.
but I haven't really found like a good way to like, find those deals.
Yeah, apartments can be tricky. I found the easiest way is networking with landlords because then you're first to know when they're getting rid of their mom and pop apartment block. I
Hmm.
mean, the institution ones are tough. They're
Yeah.
probably not selling, but that one on the corner that's like a 10 unit or something, and the guy's owned it since 1975, and now he's like 70, and he's just like, you know what? I paid 25,000 for this building in 1974, and I'm okay selling it for kind of, I haven't put any much work into it. So yeah, networking with those mom and pop things and figuring out where those LLCs are registered and just sending them some postcards, handwritten
Hmm.
thing. Hey, interested in your apartment block on the corner of XYZ. And I don't know, you ever thought about maybe selling that thing?
Right.
Same, it seems to be the same business from what I've experienced with deal acquisitions and wholesaling is just, it seems different, but the deal flow is maybe less obvious in the States because in the States you're using lists a lot of time. You're mailing off lists, whereas in Canada we make lists. So I would drive the neighborhood,
Hmm.
look for those apartment blocks, then go to the list and see what information I could find on those blocks, as opposed to being like, let's look for blocks and then go and see what the deal is. So,
Right. Hmm.
um, I mean, I think that's a Canada thing just because of our privacy. There's no lists for us to go and look at or pull, so we have to make our own.
Right.
Um, so with your Instagram and stuff like that, are you posting what you're up to? Do you know to kind of grow that like no trust framework to get more people interested in what you're doing, or how's that going?
Yeah, I'd say the Instagram, I kind of slacked a little bit in the past, I'd say maybe year or so. I was posting kind of like my projects going on, but haven't really posted too much lately. I'm kind of just focused on like the actual like projects, you know.
Yeah, sometimes it can be tough. It's not like a natural thing to be like putting your projects on display all the time. You just want to get them done. But there's a lot of capital watching, so you may want to, if you care for the advice, is just post everything. But we've got kind of an 80-20 rule.
Mhm.
So 20% real estate, 80% what you're doing, books you've read, movies you've watched. And that's more like the entertainment side because you're going to end up with a tone deaf audience if all you post is your real estate and your real estate education. You'll
Right.
just end up getting guys like me going, "Cool deal, bro." So you want someone from the outside with some money to go, interesting. And oh, he actually read that same book that I did. And so
Yeah.
that's really I think where you could find some capital. So have you had to present any deals yet to investors to see if they wanted to invest, or have you mostly been in the hard money game?
I'd say the only presenting would be like for the one guy that I partner with. Anytime, hey, I found this deal, just kind of showing him the numbers and whatnot, but nothing like official for like
So like
um
no pitch deck, things like that yet.
right, nothing like that. Yeah.
So how long have you been in real estate?
Probably about 4 years, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're right on pace. You're hitting the same wall that everyone does when they get to that point is now I need more capital to scale. You could probably keep doing what you're doing without bringing any more people on, but it becomes I can do more than this. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to need some partners. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, what would you say if you were to start all over again, right back 4 years from now or 4 years ago? What would you do differently, if anything?
That's a good question. I would probably do a little bit more networking before I got started. Because when I started, I didn't know anybody. And so, like for example, picking contractors, like now I have, some good guys. But
Mm-hmm.
before, I kind of just, when I got that first fix and flip deal that ended up turning into a rental, I had gotten it, and then I was kind of just like, oh my God,
You
I
gotta
don't have
hire
a
someone.
contractor. I need to find somebody. So I just found a couple guys and then just picked the best one at the time. It seemed, but yeah, wasn't the best.
One thing that's probably on the horizon, if you care for my advice again, is
Yeah.
contractors' businesses grow too. So always be hiring,
Yeah.
because they're going to become too expensive for you one day as their business is growing and their desire to like mess around with renovation projects gets lower, because they're
Right.
like, oh, I could do this investor thing over here for Jason, or I could do this kitchen bathroom deal for, old lady down the street and make twice.
Right.
So then
Right.
they actually outgrow us a lot of the time, especially in the flipping game. So my
Hmm.
advice would be to keep, you got those guys, awesome, but always be introducing the new one, because you never know when your top guy is gonna become unaffordable for your business. And then what? You're gonna have to go with your number two guy. Maybe he's already on another project. Number three guy's not that interested. And then the number four, the new person's like giving you that day one pricing again. You're like, oh, I
Yeah.
can get it done for 24K instead of 34K because they're hungry and the other guy's not. So one thing that I made a mistake is my pipeline was like going, 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 and then the contractors outgrew the business after about 4 or 5 years. I had to go and bring some new people on, and that's always painful. You never know
Yeah.
what you're going to get. So
Hmm.
yeah, awesome. So if people want to connect with you, they want to invest with you or possibly connect with you to get a wholesale deal, what should they do? How do they find you?
Yeah, I would say just go on my website, www.stallionacquisitions.com. And then on there, I have all my social media links is there as well. But I'd say the website's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by and letting people know that Pennsylvania is the place to be.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.